This week we deal with success, failure, and frogs. Welcome back everyone to Nine-Tail Hobbies. This week ended up being rewarding in a way that is kind of hard to pick up on sometimes in the hobby. A lot of times when we're faced with failure or a project not coming out exactly the way we want to, we can drop the project, and I think a lot of people do, and I almost did, but it was an interesting week for having things come out of my head exactly how I wanted them to, and then them absolutely not, but making a recovery from it, and things ending up coming out rather good. So let's take a look at this week's work and see how things went. Alright, so hobby update for this week. We got some bases and some bits and pieces getting printed out on the printer. We also printed out the Bullywugs from Warploque Miniatures. One of the things that's getting done is this dude's arm. The bases are drying out at the moment, and later on I'll show you how I painted up these guys. We also got a beetle rider, waiting for the base to be done on that. Yeah, so this is tonight's, or this week's stream I should say. It'll probably take the whole time. Mostly some of the bigger ones. The little mushroom mage I'm pretty excited about. Like the big boss guy. It's pretty fun. Yeah. These little dudes I had done as a practice piece beforehand, just to kind of get a grip on them and see exactly how I wanted to paint them. I know I wanted to go with the kind of poison arrow frog style, and this kind of set the tone for the entire range, the entire warband that I was doing. Some type of different species for each. I didn't want to do the exact same thing over and over. So each species, like I said, was going to be a bit different. And I think knowing where I wanted to go really helped with these, having done a practice piece. And I think this started kind of the downfall of this week. I was getting a bit overconfident with my skills with oils. This is a good example. I applied way too much yellow, so I had to end up going in and backing it off. And that's one of the nice things about oil is you can pretty easily erase your mistakes. And I'm still really trying to get the contrast. So sometimes I have to go back with like pure white and kind of bump up the contrast that I had previously done. But I still am really enjoying the whole process that comes along with oils. And this whole scheme ended up coming out pretty much exactly how I wanted it. I knew the avenues that I wanted to take to get to this goal, and it ended up working out really nice, which always gives you that confidence boost that's nice when you're painting. But I think in this case, it ended up kind of being my downfall, giving me false confidence, or I was getting full of myself. I'm not really sure. So yesterday was a bit of a odd day. Just didn't go overly well hobby-wise. I had a couple of misprints on my printer, which, I mean, that happens. And then I tried to do some painting on the live stream, and the original paint scheme didn't work, and then I tried to do another one on top of that, and it was just one of those days where it doesn't quite work out. And I think we all get those on occasion. You know, sometimes we throw paint on a mini and it works out great, and then other times it's just a struggle. I'll show you specifically what I'm talking about, but I don't know. Luckily, though, I had some very nice people, you know who you are, that were in my chat during live stream and encouraged me and helped me to continue painting, and at least I finished them. And that's important, is to push through even when you're frustrated, to make sure. I mean, you can always go back and repaint if it's really that bad, but thank you all so much for the encouragement. It actually meant a whole lot to me. But let's take a look at the Bullfrogs, the big bodyguards. I wanted to do as Pac-Man frogs, and I'll put a picture up. So they're a bit complicated, and I was like, well, even if they are, I think I still have the skill set to do this in. And I tried my normal acrylics base, you know, contrast style, real thin down with some medium and water. And it was just a super hot mess. And I didn't want to give up on it, because a lot of times with things that I paint, if I keep going with it, in the end it ends up turning out all right. But I got to the oils and started to highlight, and it was awful. So I just stripped all the oil off and decided to go with a way more basic paint scheme, red and yellow, or red and white on the frogs, and then I did purple and blue on the shields, and just decided to go back to basics again, you know, still keeping it simple, but trying to do as much as I could with it. And I was really frustrated, but luckily I had some really cool people, some fellow YouTubers, kind of come in and talk to me and give me some confidence to continue going, because I was about to give up on this. So it's not great, it's serviceable. I may go back and repaint these, but they're all right. Last night ended up going so much better than the previous night. The bodyguards, the bullfrogs, not so great. But I learned from it, and I think that is what is very important. And the prints came out really good. I didn't get all the models that I wanted done this week, but that's okay. I learned from it. I tried. I ended up coming up with some really good paint jobs and some not so good paint jobs. So let's see how last night's went. And this guy, I sat all day thinking about what I had done right and what I had done wrong with the bullfrogs. And this is based on a fire belly toad, which I felt like was in between what I had done successfully and what I had failed at. The base is very simple. It's red, it's green, and then you get these little black blobs. You know, they're almost like tiger stripes, but for a frog. And I thought that this was a good place to kind of reset to where I was. So this is the hero of the unit, one of the heroes. So I wanted to take my time. This is the only thing I painted that night. And I started to actually learn a lot. I started to really kind of pick up how to blend just with one brush. Occasionally, you know, I would still have to pick up my blending brush and smooth some things out. But I don't know, this ended up being a very nice refresher. I think I had gotten in too much of a hurry trying to do too much at once and just thinking that it was gonna fall right in my lap. But it was nice kind of just sitting and focusing on a single model. You know, I really wanted to push that contrast, get those smooth blends, and you know, I wanted to see if I could actually highlight these tiny little black squiggles on the frog. And surprisingly enough, it ended up working out. And overall, I was very satisfied with this. So this week's projects were a bit hit and miss, admittedly, and that's fine. And I didn't get as many done as I wanted to, and that's fine as well. So next week we'll finish up the Bullywugs. Got a couple other things working in the process. Got some things going off on the printer at the moment. So yeah, thanks so much for checking it out, and come back next week to see what else is brewing.